All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight, presented by FanDuel here at The Volume. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all of you guys out there. Time for video number 2, covering the Los Angeles Lakers losing 124-115 in Dallas against the Mavericks. So, you guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to The Volume's YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys don't miss any show announcements. And then last but not least, if for whatever reason you guys miss one of these videos and you can't get back over to YouTube to finish, remember you can find them wherever you get your podcasts under Hoops Tonight. And don't forget, we already did a video earlier today covering Sixers, Knicks, and we addressed the Adrian Wojnarowski report that James Harden is considering a return to the Rockets. So make sure you guys check that video out earlier in the feed. So the Dallas Mavericks outscored the Lakers 51-21 in the third quarter to win 124-115. You know, I always like to talk about the supporting pieces. Like Luka had 32 and 9 again today. He's dependable. He's great. LeBron was amazing today too, and we're going to talk about that. But at the end of the day, like, these guys are so consistently great at what they do that there's not a whole lot new to get into with them. They especially guys like Luka and LeBron that are these primary initiators from the perimeter, they're just going to get into pick and roll or get into isolation, get to a spot, and make a read based on what the defense does. And more often than not, it comes down to what players around them are capable to do as play finishers. And if they can do that frequently enough, you will get yourself on an island when you can start to create offense for yourself. And today for Dallas, it was Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway Jr. You know, this Dallas offense, when they lost Jalen Brunson, they desperately needed guys who could create their own shot. But it's kind of taken on a different feel than last year, because last year, Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Luka Doncic all kind of fit the same mold as guys that were starting everything with a live dribble from the perimeter to get to their spots. But Christian Wood and Tim Hardaway Jr. are very different. Christian Wood is doing all of his work out of ISO and post-up this year, and he's been pretty solid. Coming into today's game, 162 points on 163 ISOs and post-ups. So that's a release valve. Pretty consistently this year, several times a game, they've been able to throw the ball to Christian Wood, either in the post or in an isolation, and be like, dude, just go try to create your own shot. And he's been giving them about 1 point per possession, which is solid. So it doesn't look the same as what Jalen Brunson was doing for them last year, but it's leading to similar results. And Tim Hardaway Jr., same type of thing. Like, he's not running a ton of pick and roll. He's not doing a lot of isolation, but he's very aggressive when he catches the ball with an advantage, whether that's in a closeout situation or it's in transition. He's really good when the defender's sprinting at him or when there's a little bit of chaos at scoring in that mix, whether that's quick side steps for three or a really good quick release where he elevates really high off the ground to get good separation, or a one dribble pull up here, or a hard closeout attack to get all the way to the rim and finish. Like, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a gifted play finisher on the wing as a scorer, and they got 56 points out of those two guys tonight, which is exactly what this team needs after Jalen Brunson left for New York. You know, they were missing a lot of shots early. The Lakers were super aggressive to Luka with double teams early in the game, and they were getting wide open looks that just weren't falling. And some of that is just bad luck, which is going to turn around. Some of that's the LeBron effect too. Like, LeBron came out in this game like gangbusters, super aggressive early and often, looking for his shot, really bullying Mavericks players to get into the basket. His back to the basket game is at an incredibly high level right now. Just in general, LeBron is just playing ridiculous basketball right now, which we'll get to here in a little bit. But he was kind of putting a psychological imprint on the game early. He was so aggressive and he was playing so well that it was kind of throwing the Mavericks off a little bit. But then LeBron got off the floor and that the wheels came off, and then the Mavs started making some shots. And then there in that third quarter, all of those open threes that the Mavericks were generating from the Luka double teams started going in. The psychology of the game shifts. Now Luka's humming. Now he's got kind of that hold and belief on the game that his team is getting swept up in, and they go on a huge run. And they erupted for 51 points in that third quarter. Austin Reeves from the Lakers talked a lot after the last Lakers loss against Charlotte that the Lakers have a problem with letting go of the rope when runs come, which has been a problem all year long for them. And he talked about, like, hey, like, maybe instead of a 10-0 run, it's an 8-2 run because we make one or two additional plays and they're a little less damaging. And I think step one is kind of accepting that runs are a part of the game of basketball. Regardless of who you are, as a Mavericks fan, you're watching that game, you're missing shots early. LeBron's coming at you. You're down by, 14 or whatever. I think it was 51-37 at one point. Like, you're down big. But you have to understand that there's something happening there in that game. Like, LeBron's doing a lot. Eventually, fatigue's going to play a role. He's going to have to rest. And, guys are making shots that don't normally make shots for the Lakers. And you're generating really high-quality shots on your offense that are going to eventually go in. And they just didn't. And next thing you know, you're down 51-37. Identify that for what it is, which is a small sample size of basketball, and keep focusing on the details, and things will shift back in your direction. That's, to Austin Reeves' point, what the Lakers should have done in that third quarter. Like, instead of letting go of the rope and having it be a complete disaster, if you hang on a little bit and execute a little bit better, maybe instead of being something like a 22-2 run, it's a 18-7 run, because you got one more offensive rebound put back and you sprinted back in transition defense one extra time to contest a corner three and force a miss. And all of a sudden, like that overwhelming, like tsunami of a run becomes something that flips it more to like a 7-8 point Mavericks lead. And now we settle down in the fourth quarter and we get back into the game, kind of like LeBron did there to start the fourth quarter with that 7-0 run right away, which just ended up not being enough. Those runs are a natural part of basketball games. You have to expect them, but how do you handle them? How do you respond? Guys are going to get hot and make shots. They're going to have defensive possessions where they are committed more than they usually are. That weathering that storm is a big part of being a great basketball team. And then that even extends to another level when you get into the playoffs, and it's like, okay, well, what if I'm up 2-0 and they kick our ass in game 3, and it's 2-1 now? Well, how do you respond in that following game? It's a sport about throwing punches, and you got to be able to take them just as well as you've got to be able to give them. But that was a really impressive win for the Mavs, because they were down a bunch of really important players. Like Maxi Kleber, I think he has a knee sprain right now. That's obviously a big deal. He's one of their better backline defenders, and he has that pick and pop stuff that we talk about that's so important to open up things for Luka and pick and roll. It's an impressive win for them, down a bunch of guys. And anytime you're going against LeBron James, who's playing like one of the top 5 players in the world, it's not a shoe-in win. Even without Anthony Davis, even with as bad as that Lakers roster is, it's a quality win. For the Lakers, these non-LeBron minutes are becoming a major problem. The Lakers were +2 in LeBron's minutes in this game, and they just got absolutely destroyed with LeBron off the floor. Since returning from the groin injury on November 25th, the Lakers are +65 with LeBron on the floor and -84 without him. I see a lot of people, I had people even in my mentions today saying, like, why would you waste picks on this team? Why would you invest or mortgage your future to invest in this particular Lakers team that sucks so bad? That's why. Because LeBron is so damn good that you're killing teams when he's on the floor. And when he's off the floor, it's a disaster. So what you need to do is bring in just a handful of quality basketball players that might be able to float those minutes better. Then you have a chance to compete while Anthony Davis is out. Then when Anthony Davis returns, that's your ceiling. When you've got LeBron playing this well and you've got Anthony Davis playing as well as he did before the injury, which might take a couple months to get there, that's when, if you have enough quality role players to float random lineups here and there, that's when you become a serious basketball team. And every single team in this entire field is flawed. The Sixers are 2.5 games back of the best record in the league now. The Sixers, who were so uneven to start the season. That's how much parity there is in the league now. You are +65 with LeBron on the floor since he came back from the groin injury, -84 without him. Good basketball team, bad basketball team. So instead of focusing on the bad and being like, this isn't worth it, understand what the good is and what it's capable of and invest in that and give them a fighting chance. Russ was -30 tonight. He's only notched a positive ± in 2 of his last 10 games. For the season now, this is including the stretches where Russ played well, and he did have about a half dozen games this year where he played really well off the bench, even won some games for the Lakers this year. But even factoring all of that in now, in the aggregate for the season, the Lakers are -103 with Russ on the floor and +36 with him off. He just makes too many mistakes that offset the good things that he brings to the game. And he has completely let go of the defensive rope. It was Russ was atrocious defensively in this Mavericks game. There was a play where he got Luka Doncic on a switch in the post up, and Luka's posting him up on the right block, and he just gambled, just got completely out of position, reached all the way around, tried to knock the ball away from Luka. Luka just ripped right through away from him and went right up for a layup. I was like, you're literally one of the strongest 6'3" guards we have in the league. Hold your ground. Make him shoot over the top of you. But that's the thing. Like, it's one thing if you're LeBron and you're having a handful of bad offensive or defensive possessions here and there when you're carrying this much offensively and the team is clearly in the green when you're on the floor, versus with Russ, it's like you're getting housed in your minutes night in and night out, and you're not bringing enough offensively. You can't be the guy who lets go of the defensive rope, especially since at this point in your career, it might be the only thing your body is capable of doing at a high level. You're not getting to the rim and finishing the way you used to, but you can still be an impact defensive player. And look, I still think the Lakers should trade Russ, but if they're not going to, he's got to be better defensively than he has been. And that would go a long way towards making these Russ lineups play better. Because here's the thing, if Russ is going to be sixth man of the year, if Russ is going to be capable of keeping a spot in this league, no one says he's got to win minutes with bad players all the time, but he can't just be getting completely housed. The Lakers are getting completely housed with Russ on the floor, and they're playing good basketball when he's off. That's a problem. And with what he makes, with what his resume tells us about what he's done as a winner in this league, he should be able to at least piece together semi-functional basketball for brief stretches of games when LeBron and Anthony Davis are off the floor. All right, guys, that is all I have on this particular game. We'll be back later today with Bucks Celtics and with Grizzlies Warriors. As always, I appreciate your support, and we will see you later.